If you or someone you know is struggling with alcoholism or addiction, do not hesitate to reach out for help. You can find numerous free resources on our website, thebeginagainpodcast.com, and there are tons of resources and support networks available online, in person, or just a phone call away. You don't have to face this challenge alone. Welcome to the Begin Again podcast. I'm your host, Gary Menkes. On the Begin Again podcast, we delve into the inspiring journeys of individuals who have overcome alcoholism and addiction and emerged as true trailblazers in entrepreneurship, business, sports, and beyond. Through authentic, uplifting, and profound conversations with our guests, we aim to shatter the stigma surrounding addiction and demonstrate that recovery can be a catalyst for remarkable success, strength, and resilience. We firmly believe that by listening to these accounts, you will be empowered to unlock your own potential, instigate positive change in your life, and contribute to the creation of a better world. So, get ready to be inspired and embark on your own personal journey of growth with the Begin Again podcast. Welcome back to the Begin Again podcast. I'm your host, Gary Menkes, and joining us tonight is a force in the Recover Out Loud community. She is on a mission to give hope to others. She is super inspiring. She has a beautiful message, and she's the co-host of the incredible Taste of Recovery podcast, Alecia Spendlove. Alecia, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. I'm glad we hooked up. I was on yours actually, and we've talked, I know, offline. We've texted back and forth, and the content, everything you've been putting out, you and Eden, it really is inspiring that. And the whole term recover out loud is a new term. I didn't know what that term was before I got to this podcasting world, but it's incredible. The people that we get to meet, the people that are sharing their story with hope to help someone else it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't really know about the Recover Out Loud community either until we started our podcast. And it's been really incredible.
Yeah.
Just getting, like you, a variety of different types of individuals to share their story about addiction and recovery and how they're living their best lives in sobriety, or how it's not so easy, but we're doing the best we can.
Absolutely. I love the term living our best lives. And like you said, it's not always clean. It's certainly not a straight line. It's a zigzag line, but it's speaking from my own experience. What's the saying? My worst day in sobriety is way better than my best day when I was out there. And I say that I had a lot of fun too, Lisa. I had a lot of fun. I have some wild, incredible stories, but it turned dark and it started getting really dark. And that's what I mean by that. My head's not in the sand. We had some fun too, for sure. We were out there, but it got dark and it wasn't fun. And mostly looking back, a lot of those quote unquote real fun times really weren't that fun. Here we are, right? And you had this amazing podcast too. And you're one of the people I've met in the past year or so on this journey. And I've listened into some of your story. I know when you girls launched your podcast, I knew it was going to be so great the way you put it all together. And I heard some of your story there, and I'd love for you to share some of your story here if you would.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Tennessee, right outside of Nashville, Mount Juliet, Tennessee. And I actually love where I grew up. My home environment it wasn't so happy, I guess you could say. Okay. And I don't think a lot of people would know that by looking at me from the outside. And that's probably even today. I have a beautiful life today, but the label alcoholism or alcoholic isn't something I would want to promote or put out there in the world probably 6 years ago. Yeah. So I grew up in a stressful household. I love my family, but definitely really stressful. But on the outside, like I said, in high school, I was very popular. I was the homecoming queen and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I loved my fellow classmates. Yeah, I remember them still till this day. A lot of us go back and forth on Facebook or whatever. And I have a handful of really good friends still from there. But I really wanted to get out of there. And I found my way out to Los Angeles, and I became a commercial actress And I did things like Clairol herbal essence and Crest white strips. Get people. And
We have a teeth for it, that's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. No braces. We were too poor to get braces, but that's okay. It just, yeah. And I have great girlfriends. And like you said, partying was really fun until it wasn't fun. I went out and I dressed up and yeah, but I was dealing with a lot of trauma from my childhood and I had a very low self-esteem. I remember I used to go in and go to an audition and the commercial auditions weren't hard for me, but they started to send me out on some theatrical auditions because I was booking so many commercials that they sent me out and I was just happy to get the lines out. I was like, I wasn't worried about being the best actress. I just wanted to calmly, it was like fight or flight. And I had this flight experience. And I think that's also from my childhood when I would be in that stress mode, I somehow can just leave my body. And yeah, I notice I tend to do that in my life if I don't have a handle on it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Our body. Yeah. We talked quickly earlier. We had some fun. There's definitely episodes of leaving. And you mentioned self-esteem. It's so funny. Maybe it's not funny, but I didn't realize until I got sober, Alecia, how low self-esteem I had. It wasn't until I started putting the work to doing the work on myself. As everyone listens and knows me, I got sober in AA and I started when I did the 12 steps and I wrote the fourth step down and I started writing stuff down and I never was going to share with anyone ever. Like I was going to keep this stuff with me forever. And some of the stuff certainly started building that chip on my shoulder, even at a young age. And I carried stuff around me, but I didn't realize how uncomfortable I was in my own skin until I started really looking at all that stuff. And then we say it a lot. You look at the word fear, and then it became apparent, even though if you knew me, like I went out like I wasn't afraid of anything. And I acted that way. And I did things that way. I did outrageously crazy, wild stuff, a lot of fun stuff. I did. It became apparent to me I could put the word fear on anything. Like I could be fearful of how this conversation, I get fearful of what you're going to think of me, and I could put it on so many different things, but it was stuff I didn't realize until I started doing the work on myself. It's so common among us, right? Us, and you said the big label, like I am Gary and I'm an alcoholic. Everyone knew I was speeding on the train of alcoholism early on. I was the last one I don't want to say no, and I was the last one to admit it, but it was also one of the biggest moments of my life when I said, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And you ask for help. We say it all the time. Asking for help was not part of our DNA or not part of my DNA, but it turns out to be the bravest thing anyone out there can do is to raise your hand and say, listen, I need some help. I need help. That's the bravest act anyone can do. Certainly for me, but it's such a common theme among us, right? Self-esteem, not good enough. You're in that industry out there, which is, I can just imagine how cutthroat and how difficult it is on top of it. Like I'm sure they're letting you know if you're not good pretty quickly. And so that's hard enough as it is. And so anyway, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, yeah. And also with this low self-esteem and then wanting to be seen, wanting to be somebody, wanting to book the job, because then people will look at me and think that I'm successful and think that I'm doing well. And so just having all those labels.
Sure.
That was really difficult. And I think that's how I proved my self-worth, but I really felt, not that worthy. And as my drinking progressed, I would do stupid things like definitely drunk dial people. If you were on the other end of the drunk dial, it might be pretty fun or funny, but boy, and then I'd be like, oh my God, not even remembering that I called somebody the next day, that sort of thing. And then just as life progressed, getting married and having kids and the stresses and realities of life, I just got really bad with my alcoholism. I would go out to a really nice restaurant with my husband and other couples and drink a little too much, but then go home and drink more. And you would think the night would be over, but it wasn't over.
Sure.
And then I would wake up and yeah, just not even remember the night, stuff like that.
I can relate to that, for sure. Going, right? Clearly had enough to drink, and maybe I leave wherever I was and keep going on my own. In the end, towards the end, I would pull these Irish exits. I'd be with all my boys and all my friends, and I would just bolt. Like when it got really dark, I was like, I just want to be alone. I want to isolate. I want to go. I used to say, my saying, I want to go find a dark bar with no windows and a jukebox, and I want to sit in there all day. It's a young guy saying these. That's a real sick kind of thing to aspire to be, right, or to go to. And guy, young 20s, was, again, looking back, I was sick early on, but I can relate to. I'm blessed. I've been sober 18 years in May. When I have a 11 and 9-year-old, and they've never seen their dad drunk, and that's a gift, because that's a real gift. Because I've heard my buddies say in the program that could be the best gift you can give your family, is you can just stop there. Yeah, I think they're right, because even I know for this alcoholic, maybe it's not the first drink, maybe it's not the second drink, maybe it is also, I'm not sure, but they would know the energy in this being would immediately change as soon as that alcohol hit my lips, and they would feel it, and they would instantly their lives would be a little bit altered just by that. And then once I went out, forget about it. So I don't even want to think about that. But so I can relate, though, to the stresses being a parent too, right? It's difficult. Life's difficult, right?
Life is difficult. Yeah. And my kids saw me drink. I'm coming up on 1 year, the end of July.
It's amazing. Congratulations.
But it's been a journey from 2020. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And I think that my heavy drinking contributed to that. I do. And getting back to when you were saying isolating, I was isolating and drinking wine at home alone. I would start out in the kitchen cooking, and it was fun with the kids. And then I would go back to the back room and watch TV. And then my kids would come in, and I don't even know what I said to them. And yeah, it was a bottle and a half of wine later, and it waking up feeling horrible. And then, like I said, in May of 2020, I had a pain in my stomach. I was gaining weight, and I chalked it up to menopause and probably, obviously, drinking way too much. I was about 20 pounds heavier. And I went to the hospital, and I thought it was appendicitis, and it turned out to be ovarian cancer. And so I had the tumor removed and that ovary removed. And cut to, I had another surgery, had a full hysterectomy, and had what they could see of the cancer removed, and then did chemo for a total of 6 cycles. And that was pretty crazy. Lost all my hair. And that really does a mind fuck on you, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And even through all that, it was really hard for me to stop drinking, which really speaks to how powerful this disease of alcoholism is. I had stage 3 high-grade ovarian cancer, and I still couldn't stop drinking.
Yeah.
That's serious. A lot of people's wake-up calls, they get thrown in jail. I got cancer. And yeah, sucks.
So when was the last, when would, this is 2020 we're talking about still?
Yeah, this is May of 2020, all through. I finished chemotherapy in October of 2020. Then when my hair started to grow back out a little bit, realized I needed to get some help. And I checked myself into an outpatient center. They wanted to know if I needed a detox. I didn't. I just detoxed on my own. But I went to an outpatient center for about 3 months. I would drive my daughter to school, 2021, and then just do that all day long. And yeah, it was a great experience. I needed the therapy. They did all kinds of therapy. They did EMDR for trauma therapy and just everything. And then we learned about Alcoholics Anonymous. We learned about refuge recovery, which is the Buddhist way of recovery, smart recovery. And I do believe that however you can get sober, if you stand on your head, that's okay with me. If you're getting sober, I know a lot of people say that there's a lot of sober alcoholics and they're still angry. Then start meditating, go to church. But if you can find your way into a 12-step program like myself, I highly recommend it.
I highly recommend it too. And you and I are on the same exact page. Like, I don't care how you get here or what happens. If you need to get here, I no cares how you get here, just as long as you do get here. I'm not, yes, again, if anyone asks me how I got sober, Alcoholics Anonymous, that's how I got sober. And I'm happy to share my experience there. But yes, I know there's other ways and other things that work for other people. And you and I are on the same page. Just listening to you also and what you've gone through, and alcoholism has so many different faces, right? It has just so many different faces. It has every face imaginable, actually. I would compare myself to early on. An alcoholic was the brown bagger in the Bowery, and that's not true. Alcoholic
It's not true.
The CEO of the number one company in the world. It could be the best athlete on the face of the planet. They could be sick. And I have to step back too, after what you went through with your diagnosis and all in October, and to come out though. And first of all, to have the realization, like, holy cow, look at what I'm doing. Look what's happened to me. And I still can't stop drinking. But to take that next step, I commend you and I admire it so much, to take the next step to say, I need help. And you went and got some help, which I think is incredible.
And that's what I would say to anyone. Get help. Alcoholics Anonymous isn't calling. I mean, there's podcasts that you can listen to, your podcast, my podcast, many Recover Out Loud podcasts that can point you in the right direction, to treatment centers, to meetings, whatever meeting that is. Like I said, there's so many different resources now, not just AA. And so
I've seen you also, because you brought up meditation, and I've seen stuff that you are into, and it's so intriguing. I've seen some of your guests that you've had on, some kind of deep stuff, and you seem to be in that. Can you tell us, was meditation something you found after or in sobriety that you've taken it to the next level?
It was something right before my ovarian cancer. I bought a gong, I bought the singing bowls, and when I turned 50, I got certified in yoga, and I enjoyed that whole journey. And then I would start, a lot of people would ask me to come lead a guided meditation. And I love it. I really believe that it just calms the nerves. It really does bring good vibes. Everybody's energy we have, it balances out your energy and gets you to a place of rest and out of your head and connecting with your higher power, connecting with God, connecting with nature, connecting with others. It's incredible. But I love to meditate. I love sound meditation. And my partner, Eden, and I from Taste of Recovery, she guides some sober groups or some recovery groups at a recovery center. And I'll come in and do the meditation. And we have the best time. And it's really fun because the people that are in recovery, they really need it. Yeah. I think we all need it. But when you surrender and when you decide to go to an outpatient program or inpatient program, whatever it is, most of the people really want it and they want to be there, I think. And even if they can't get there, even if they go out again or relapse, it's still in their bones. It's still in their body that it's possible. It's possible to heal.
Absolutely. The seed has been planted. I'm one of them. I just turned 50 last week, so I joined the club, just so you know.
Happy Okay. I'm
Yeah,
55. Yeah.
thank you. But yeah, I was, I don't know, I was 6 blocks north of World Trade Center in 2001. The following April, I was in a rehab upstate New York, and that was 2002. My sobriety date's 2006. But I went up to that rehab, and not to repeat myself in my own show because I say it a lot, but it was the first time I was sitting in a circle and it came around to me, and I had to say, I'm Gary, I'm an alcoholic. And I thought my life was over. I said, now look what you did to yourself. Like, now, look where you put yourself now, Gary. Look at this one. You really did it this time. And I like to think that my path is my path and my journey is my journey. It was a false start, but that seed was planted for sure. And going back to what we were saying before about, I don't care how you get here. For those 4 years, like, it was clear to me, even though I was struggling, like I couldn't stop also. I have spurts, never put 90 days together ever. I have some spurts. I come back in and go to AA and then go back out. But it was clear to me that I'm going to have to stop drinking one day for sure. But I was never going back there. Like, I'm never going back to those meetings. Like, I'll figure it out. Like, I'll do it my way. And I don't know what happened in, May 13th or May 12th, the night before in 2006. I called Intergroup in New York City, and I went to a meeting on May 13th, and I haven't had a drink or a drug since. And I say a drink or a drug. I was alcoholic for sure. That was first and foremost. The other stuff, I dabble in all of it. But I really also think it sped up my demise, if you will. Like, I found cocaine and just allowed me to drink more. Like, you knew me, I was a drinker through and through. But sped up that downfall. I was able to drink longer. I was able to stay up longer, stay up later, stay up more days later, right? Then you go on these ridiculous benders, and that's when it starts getting dark. It's funny. It is whatever works. You brought up something also, and it's my experience, and I've had family members, friends. It's only when that person wants it. Like, you can't drag someone into a rehab or to a meeting, or you can't drag someone to sobriety. They have to just want it. And that's what I think Taste of Recovery podcast or any podcast or anything else where it can maybe plant that little seed that there is another way. Like, you're not alone, is another way. I didn't think I couldn't even picture my life without drinking. Even when I was sick, even when I was disaster, I still couldn't picture it when everything that I thought I knew, Alecia, was completely wrong. And I come from that lens often now. Like, something will come up and I'll be like, wait a minute. Then I'll step back, but wait a minute, Gary, you don't know anything. Like, keep this open mind. When prayer and meditation, prayers for me were foxhole prayers. Get me out of this one. God, please, I won't do this again. And I do it the very next night or the next week.
Oh,
It's completely different now. It's real.
it was.
Start making needs every day.
And it was insanity, right? Like, I'm not going to drink again. I'm not going to smoke pot. I'm not going to do any of those things. And then cut to the next day, you're doing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it makes no sense, especially to the layperson. Like, they really don't get it, right? Like, our loved ones that aren't sick,
No,
it makes no sense to anyone.
Yeah.
My wife, she's a civilian, and she gave me a book. We've been together for a long time. I love to say my girlfriend at the time, she gave me this book. It was called Courage to Change. And actually, the podcast, in a way, is almost derived from that, because in this book, Courage to Change, there were like these celebrities, like Pete Townsend was in there and a bunch of other people, some CEOs, and there's little excerpts of them in recovery. I was like, holy cow, these people are sober. And how in a weird way, 18 years later, or even actually 22 years later, because that was early on, that the podcast, because I'd be sitting in meetings and be like, there's more than 30 or 50 people in this room could benefit to hear this story. I think more people need to hear this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it derived. And I know I've seen a lot of your stuff, and we're similar. We're on the same page when it comes to that.
Yeah. Eden and I, we just want to share other people's stories. We don't claim to be experts or healers or counselors. I don't even know. But we just hold space. We like to hold space. And that's what I love to do in life. I like to hold space when I'm having a dinner party and I'm with my family. I love to hold space when we're having a barbecue. I love the kids running around and holding that space. And then with Taste of Recovery and on your show, Begin Again, we're just holding space for others to tell their stories and that hopefully somebody will tune in and somebody will listen and someone will hear just one thing. That's all they need to hear is one thing, that life is good. Life is amazing, that it doesn't suck being sober. Because in my mind, oh my God, it's so much better. But in my mind, I thought life was over. I thought, oh, and because even when I smoked pot, I loved like the image of, I was the hippy dippy chick. You know what I'm saying? Like everything. And listen, if that works for some people, I God bless them. I wish I could.
I would say I can't, but
I wish I could, but I know for me, taking a drink, and it's really drinking for me, taking a drink is killing myself. It really is. It's that drastic and it's that simple, but it's not sad. I feel like sometimes I think people go, oh, that's so, wow, that's really sad that she's probably dealing with that. But can I tell you, I'm having a blast and I'm around my wine drinking friends. We have a business up in wine country in Los Olivos, California. And I was at Buttonwood Winery and I was dancing my booty off. And I had a sober girlfriend there that happened to drive up, but I would have been doing it anyway.
Yeah.
I will say that I do end my party faster or earlier than I did when I was drinking. Although I fell asleep then too. It might be in public or I would just check out and be like, I'm out of here and just go back to wherever I'm going and may even drink by myself and just be just a gross lush. And now I feel in life, I'm getting my light back. It's great. However, what I wanted to add with the whole cancer diagnosis,
yes.
So it did come back a year ago.
Okay.
And that is what brought me to God gave me the epiphany. You can't drink anymore. I had to do chemo again. I didn't lose my hair, thankfully, which was great. I was like so happy because that was really hard. And I know that's vain and on the outside and all that kind of stuff, but it's really hard because I didn't mind losing my hair on my head. But when people look at you and see that your eyebrows and your eyelashes were gone, it's that sympathy. Or I did find people were so generous and loving and sweet. It's really, there's a lot of love during that time. And I think also that's what we get out of the rooms with AA. And in any of, when you meet someone that realizes how hard it is to get to where we've gotten to be sober. People, it's easy, but there's a lot of love there. And that's what I love about being in this sobriety community.
Yeah, I love you said that because it's almost, and I'm admiring what you're saying too. I'm thinking what you're telling me, and to think of you're looking back in that time as really loving, right? And it's almost exercise. We play with ourselves, or I play with myself almost every day. It's a perception. It's changed perceptions, changed my thoughts on the things. Like I can look at it this way and it can be negative and it can be awful, or I can change my perception on it, or I can start telling myself, my sponsor says this to me all the time. He says, I wasted so much time on stuff, worrying about stuff that never happened. I don't want you to do that either. Why don't you tell yourself a good story? When I'm down the rabbit hole and I'm full of fear and whatever it may be, financial insecurity, or I had a health scare too. 4 years ago, I had a widowmaker heart attack. And sometimes I'm overcome with fears that I'm going to leave my family and they're going to grow up without a dad. And sometimes they're strong. They're better now. But, initially that first year or so, I had a lot, like I couldn't even look at my pictures of myself. I'm like, fuck, what's this going to look like for them? And, it's like it's changed the perspective. I had my niece, she was over yesterday and I hadn't seen her. She moved. She was one of the first people that came to visit me. And I happened to have my meeting. I'm like, my niece is here. I haven't seen her in so long. And she lives in Texas now. And she was one of the first people that showed up at the hospital. And again, I want to come from that lens of love. I don't want to get, we say this a lot too. It's don't sweat the small stuff because it's all small. What you're dealing with was not small. But for you to come and share with us that it was such a loving time. I really think that's says so much about you, Alecia, but I think it's a beautiful thing. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
And
And
also,
so,
when
go
you
ahead.
in me before the podcast started, how my day was. Well,
Yes.
let me tell you how my day was.
Can't wait.
It was interesting. So I went to see my oncologist because my blood work has been coming back.
Mhm.
That my tumor marker has been rising.
Okay.
And I about 2 weeks ago, I had a PET scan, CT scan. Eden went with me because she wanted to be able to take notes while I'm being able to ask questions. So the cancer is back.
Okay.
And it's really scary. It really is. So when you look at me, I don't think people think this is the face of cancer, the face of ovarian cancer. I look very healthy. And I look very healthy because of not drinking alcohol. I can tell you that right now. That was such a poison to my body.
Mm.
And my lifestyle has done a 360. I'm exercising 3 times a week, which isn't a lot for some people. But yeah, my cancer's back. This is the face of someone who has cancer. And this is the face of an alcoholic. It's not a bum on the street. My story, my bottom may not have been as low as some, but when I hear others, their stories that are devastating and going to jail and being on the streets and shooting up heroin, that's not my story, but the pain, I feel their pain because I was experiencing such pain. And to see what a miracle they are, thriving and helping others, I feel like my life with the ovarian cancer and the alcoholism didn't, as we say in Alcoholics Anonymous or in the program, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. Yeah. And this really is happening for me to get healthier, to be a better person, to live the best life I can, because I might not be here in 2 years, but maybe I will be. Maybe I'll get hit by a bus tomorrow, but maybe I'll get whatever. But I think this is just a metaphor to live a better life. And I think it's a metaphor for so many others. It's not tragic, or it is tragic, but you turn it into something that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Just make beauty out of it. You embrace the love. You embrace humanity. You embrace the spirit of so many others that we can change, and that we have to go inside ourselves and pull out the best of us and make the best choices that we can. Because it's not easy to make a good choice all the time. It's easy to make those poor choices.
It is, right? Sometimes it's easier to make those poor choices, but wow.
We got to try to make the good choices, the better choices, to be the best we can.
Yeah. It's like taking the high road in certain things. Like sometimes the road less traveled, or the harder decision is usually the better decision. But I got to take a step back. You said, "Oh, how was your day?" I have to let the audience know, how was your day today, Gary? And I said, "Ah, it was pretty uneventful. How was yours?" She said, "I had a heck of a day." And she said she wanted to share it. And that's another part when I'm just in awe of your strength in front of us right now. But to take this and to turn it on its head again, this is what we learned. This is what I learned in sobriety. This was part of one of my many epiphanies, all the stuff I did to myself, or all the stuff that happened to me. I'm going to flip it on its head and I'm going to share it because maybe it's going to help someone out there. What you're sharing right now is going to help someone not only with alcoholism, but you're going to help someone that has a diagnosis, and they're going to come to you or they're going to listen to you, and they're going to certainly, without a doubt, feel that beautiful energy that's just emanating out of you. And it's all so positive. And it's really beautiful and it's so powerful. And I thank you for sharing that. I really do. And you bring something up with me too. And I mentioned my health scare a few years ago. And one of my issues was afterwards, I would get so down. I think I went through a little bit of depression, but part of it was, wait a minute, like I almost didn't make it. Like I almost wasn't here. Like I'm lucky to be here. Like how come I'm not walking around the rest of my life on this just cloud nine because I'm playing with house money? Like that's how I should be. And yet I'll start my day. Some days, every day I start on my knees in prayer and do some meditating. But other days, after I do my whole morning ritual, I'll get on the wherever I am in the city or subway, and there's not enough room on the street for me and you. And it's like, what happened to that like serene, that peaceful, that calmness? I take my ego, I've taken it all back. I've gotten in the way again. But what I'm getting at is, and I would talk to, for me, it was my sponsor, which I really should talk to some other people about this too, but I struggled with it because then I would get depressed about it. Be like, Gary, what are you mad about? I cut you off. Who cares? Like, why is that still bothering you? It shouldn't bother you anymore. Way you just described where you're at, and even the last time you had it, you've turned it on its head, and your diagnosis today, it seems like you're there, like where I want to get to almost. You've had this. You said the word tragic. It's not tragic. You don't look tragic. You are going to be here in 2 years because you have that energy. It's all gonna work itself out. You're going to help people along the way.
Yeah. But you know what else? I'm angry. I'm fucking angry about it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I've been working so hard to be healthy, eating the best that I can to my ability. And then sometimes just stopping alcohol, it was hard. I have had sugar, so I'm trying to cut out sugar but I feel like it's okay if you're mad that somebody cut you off, that happened. So now we have the ability to acknowledge it and be aware of it.
Yes.
And get out of it quicker. But I still am reactive. I'm less reactive. And like I said, I'm scared. I'm angry. I'm bitter, but I'm also grateful. I'm like a wheel of every emotion. And that's what I think life is meant for us to experience. It's just hopefully taking a breath, hopefully figuring out how to stop all the voices in my head, all the negative voices, and any voices. Honestly, I just need to just clear it and just breathe and be.
Yes, I do. And yeah, and you're right, 100%. And I have said this to myself, you know what, you're aware of this stuff at least now. Years ago, it would take me, who knows how long I would go down that rabbit hole or be pissed off or act out at some stranger cutting me off, whatever it may be. But yes, you're 100% right. I am aware of it today, and I'll call myself out on it or I'll share it with somebody. So that is a huge improvement. And thank you, honestly, for giving me the permission and telling me that it's okay to have the gamut of all these emotions, sometimes all at once or all in the same few minutes. And I don't know I guess I'm a little embarrassed. We were talking earlier, tell yourself that good story. I'm saying that, and you're living it, right? And it's that whole perspective, right? And I love what you said, and I'm a huge firm believer in it, but I sometimes need to get there, is that it's not happening to me, it's happening for me, right? Your story is gonna help so many people. She really is.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's next? What's next for you?
My doctor gave me the A-OK to go to Spain with my daughter for 10 days,
Great.
which is incredible. And then, so I get back on July 24th.
Okay.
I'm supposed to start chemotherapy on July 26th.
Okay.
I'm also looking into other options. Contacted City of Hope, and there's a procedure that I might possibly do.
Okay.
I'm actually on a fast right now. I'm hoping I can fast it away. I really do. Like, there's a podcast called Chris Beat Cancer, and it's an incredible podcast, and he's about healing your body naturally.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many chemotherapies I can do again. I think I just want time with my kids. So I'm just at a very weird crossroads. I'm very excited to go to Spain. My doctor said at first not to go because I was starting to experience some pain on my left side. But I think I'm okay, and I want to go. I really want to go. I want to go and be with my daughter and her friend's mom and just experience life. I want to live. I don't want to all of a sudden, and thankfully they've caught it early.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an aggressive cancer, though. That's the scary part. But I'm doing these things with my diet, with my stress level. I'm meditating and praying and eating well. But yes, I am listening to my doctors. And I have a great doctor. I have a great oncologist, and I have a great general practitioner. And I'm doing natural things. I'm doing high dose vitamin C infusions. And yeah, I'm looking at other things to do that I think I'm going to give the chemo one more shot. And yeah, that's what's next. And I tell you, the most important thing for me, the most important thing is my sobriety. That's it. That's it.
I love that. Obviously, I love that, but it's so important. It's because I'm one of them. I say this a lot. Property of my sobriety, you can put it on everything, including my family. I'm not sober. I don't have anything.
Forget about it, right?
Forget about it. If I am here, it's a nasty, ugly, long, cold, going nowhere, miserable life. And I'm so glad you said what you said, because I mentioned I just turned 50 last week, and I have more dreams and aspirations than I'd ever have. I am like, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis or midlife like epiphany, whatever. I'm going with the epiphany part. Like the next 50 years or 40 or 30, those are going to be the best ones. Those are by far going to be like, and to have those thoughts and those feelings and that kind of energy, I wouldn't be talking if talking this way if I was out there. Like I said, it'd be
No way.
miserable, nothing. Have absolutely nothing. And today me too. Like you see like the poster behind me, it's, I want to attack the country. I want to go see the whole world with my kids.
Yeah, right.
That's my dream. I want to go everywhere. When I was a kid growing up, was going at the end of the Long Island, Montauk, which is my favorite place in the world. That's where we were last week. And now I want to take these kids everywhere, as many places as we can. Like you said, I want to live life. I want to experience life. And you are a shining example of it. And I'm so happy for you that you're going on this Spain trip. I'm really happy for you. I'm sure everyone around you is. And
Well, not everyone. I had people tell me, "Oh, don't go," because they're scared. I'm trying really not to live in fear. I'm trying not to be stupid either, but I've weighed my options. I've met with my doctors, but yeah, I don't want to live in fear. I want to live in faith. I really want to live in faith and feel like I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Like you were saying, you're 50. You have so many dreams. Live them.
Yeah.
And the most important things we can do is connect with others. And through what's next for me, I love the podcast. I love it. I love hanging out with Eden. Eden Sassoon is my partner, as you met her.
Oh, yeah.
And isn't she just a kick?
She's great. You both are. You really are. You're both perfect for each other. The show is incredible. And it really is. And you're going on a year sobriety in a few weeks, is it? July, what's the date?
Yeah, July 24th. When I'm flying back, it'll be a year. So I'm going to fly back on my 1 year of sobriety. The 25th, I'm going to take my cake at my home group for my 1 year. And then the 26th, I'm gearing up for flipping chemotherapy. Whatever, I'm doing it. I hate it, but I know it's what I need to do.
I again think it's amazing. I'm going back to today, and you told me about your hectic day. You texted me middle of the day, hey, just confirming we're good tonight. We're good tonight. Yeah, we're good. And meanwhile, you have all this real life stuff, and yet you stayed to your commitment. And anyone could have said, hey, something came up. I can't be here tonight, but maybe there was something inside of you knew that you needed to share this. And like I said, I know that this is going to help someone out there, help more than one person. Your podcast helps so many people as it is. Like you are just, that's part of, you said it's so important to have that connection with people. And I've said it so many times, like when I started this podcast, I had no idea, like it wasn't part of like my thought process of the amazing, incredible people, incredible stories that we're going to listen to. And here we are yet again. And I get to spend this hour with you and hear your story and to share your news, but to feel your beautiful energy coming through and your positivity. And it's inspiring. It really is.
Thank you.
We're going to have to go follow up because.
And I'm not afraid to do it when times are hard, like through where I'm struggling and you don't see this joyous person, but just see someone trying to do their best.
You're real and you're authentic, and that's what it's all about. That's what I think is the secret sauce. Somewhere I read, I don't know, popped up the universe telling me again that being real or being vulnerable and being authentic is the greatest magnet to people or the right people in your life that there is. And that's what your podcast is, right? It's just vulnerability. It's sharing incredible stories and it's attracting more people. And your story tonight I'm floored, Alecia. I really am. And I'm honored that you came on. I'm humbled that you shared your story with us today. I really am. And yes, I'm going to be following you a little closer than normal now. And I wish you the best trip ever. And yes, let's have a follow-up, please, when you get back.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And where can we find you? I know it'll all be in the show notes, but we can't let Taste of Recovery out. Where can we find you?
We are Taste of Recovery Podcast on Instagram.
Yep.
But Taste of Recovery Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Yay!
Perfect. You've done that before. That's great. Taste of Recovery. Alecia, can't thank you enough for your time here tonight. This has really been moving and inspiring. And like I said, I'm going to be following you a little extra closely, and we're going to have a follow-up when you get back.
Wonderful. Can't wait to connect again soon.
Same here. Sending love, all the best, and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another powerful episode of the Begin Again podcast. We sincerely appreciate your time and support. We hope that today's conversation has ignited a spark within you, affirming that recovery is not only attainable, but can also be a wellspring of strength and resilience. Our ultimate goal is to make a difference in someone's life every single day. By sharing these stories of redemption, we strive to empower you and inspire you to unlock your fullest potential, facilitate positive transformations, and contribute to creating a better future for yourself, for your loved ones, and the world at large. If you know someone who could benefit from listening to our show, please share it with them. And if you resonate with our mission and feel compelled to do so, we would greatly appreciate your support through a 5-star review. following us on Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel, the Begin Again Podcast. The more positive reviews we receive and the wider our message spreads, the greater our collective ability to help others realize that change is possible in their own lives. Thank you once again for being part of our community. May you be blessed on your own journey of personal growth and transformation.